All right, can everyone hear me okay? Let me know. Let me know. No audio? All right, what about now? Okay. Okay, can you guys hear me now? Yeah, yeah. Okay, good. Good. Sometimes I think the internet just takes a couple seconds to get going. So what you are reporting in the chat box is you guys can hear me fine? Good. Valerie says, I can hear you now. Wonderful. Well, good morning. Good morning again. If you are on the west side of the United States, like I am, here at the Spokane College of English Language in beautiful Spokane, Washington, which, as we know, little interesting facts, Washington State, but certainly a lot from Spokane as well, is the world's #1 producer of apples. And with that, a lot of our vocabulary in this unit deals with nature or animals or the natural world. So there's your interesting bit of information about Washington State and where we are located in Spokane. So wherever you are in the world, I wish you a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, or even some of you, I know it's late at night, so I wish you, of course, a good night as well. And as always, thanks so much for joining us and joining me, Miss Abby, for today's Smart English lesson. As always, I want to make sure that I'm checking over into the comment box, into our live chat feed, because you guys always have such great comments, such great questions. So I want to make sure that I can at least try my best and do my best to get over to the live feed. So, as we know, at least in the Western calendar, today is the last day of the month of February. February is the shortest month of the year. So it's kind of crazy for me to think that tomorrow is going to be March and we are going into spring. So with that, Spokane's had a little bit of snow the last couple days, but I think the sun and warm weather is on its way, which is so exciting because Spokane is beautiful, beautiful in the winter with the snow, but it's equally gorgeous. So beautiful and gorgeous, synonyms, words that mean the same or I can use interchangeably. It's beautiful in the winter with the snow, and it's also gorgeous in the summer with there's lots of lakes and lots of water and rivers. If you like the outdoors, Spokane is a great place to be. And with that, if you've ever thought about studying abroad, so instead of just seeing me on the screen and through a video, we could meet live. We could have coffee or tea. So if you've ever thought of studying abroad, definitely please consider SCEL, Spokane College of English Language. And just give me 1 second, gonna check the chat box. One thing that I really enjoy is the fact that all of you make friends and find new friends as well through this class. So it's not just me and you, it's all of you guys as well that are getting to know each other. So it makes my heart happy. It makes me happy when I see all of you greeting each other before class and the goodbyes, have a nice day as we're ending class. It's really a neat thing for me to be able to facilitate, so run or direct the class, but then see how many of you guys, just because of Smart English and Smart Live, have had the chance to make friends all over the world. Such a great thing about technology, right? The fact that I'm sitting here in Spokane and it's morning here, but I have amazing students from literally all over the world, and we can come together and work on our English, work on our smart curriculum English, and have fun doing it. And with that, have fun making new friends from all over the world. So again, something that just makes me happy. And teaching English makes me happy as well. So with that, I'm going to check the comment box and then we will get started with today's lesson. As promised, we're going to be starting on articles and then we'll continue on with a little bit more of our vocabulary. Because again, vocabulary is so important. If you've seen some of the other videos, I liken vocabulary as tools to building a house. So the more vocabulary you have, the more you can say. And so it's like building a house. If you have just a little bit of vocabulary and you're still learning, you can build a little house. But as you expand your vocabulary and what you're able to say, you can build a bigger house. So that building your vocabulary enables you to say more, building that bigger house, I always say, or use as an example. So vocabulary, it's definitely one of my favorite parts of English to teach. So we will continue on with that and probably wrap up the list today. If not, of course, stay tuned for next week. It's every Tuesday, 7:30 Pacific Standard Time, so on the west coast of the United States. Okay, let me check the comment box. Rosa agrees. Yeah, we learn English and also we meet friends. Wonderful, I love it. Oh, Roberto, February is my birth month. Well, I hope, unless today is your birthday, the last day of February, I hope you have had, or I hope you had a wonderful birthday, Roberto. Excellent. Hello, Tiffany from the Ukraine. Oh, and Ahmed from Egypt. Wow, so wonderful. And so many of you guys, when you're saying, hello, greetings from, these are all places I want to travel, I want to see. I've been very, very fortunate. So I've been very lucky to be able to do a little bit of traveling and see different parts of the world. But Egypt, the Ukraine, Mexico, I've only been to a little bit of northern Mexico. But when you all report in where you are coming live from and watching class, oh, they're all places that I would like to visit someday. And if I'm lucky enough, I'll let you know in advance. So we can have some coffee or tea and just sit. You can teach me as well. Because again, when we're talking about words in English that sound the same, but either are spelled different or have completely different meanings, accept, I accept, so that means I understand, I realize, I accept that even though I'm a teacher, I can learn just as much from my students. So with that, if I'm ever lucky enough to visit your wonderful country, it would be so great that we could sit and have coffee, and I accept the fact that there is a lot that you could teach me as well, and we could just have some fun practicing our English. And I always enjoy the different ways to say hello and the different greetings in each culture, so we could practice that in addition. So wonderful. Philippines, excellent. Vivek, have you been to the moon? No, I have not been to the moon, although I heard on the news that there's new advancements, so new things happening, big things happening in the advancements of outer space and travel, so that it's a very real possibility. So it's very likely to happen that if you have a lot of money and you really want to go to the moon, that might be possible here in the near future. That's really incredible to think about. But with that, no, Vivek, I have not been to the moon. And honestly, I don't think I would want to go. I would rather visit more countries here on Earth than on the moon. But that is coming because technology is pretty incredible. So, great. Okay, so let me hit over on our lesson screen. There we go. All right, give you a second to take this in. We know in English we have 4 types of sentences, right? Thus far, we have gone over 2. And those are, number 1, just a simple sentence. Okay, so very basic. Number 1, simple sentence. And that is just one independent clause. All this one independent clause needs in order to be a simple sentence is a subject and a verb. So who or what, where we're talking about, and then a verb, an action, something that happens. Our second kind of sentence of the 4 main types of sentences in English is a compound sentence. All that is 2 independent clauses. So you take the simple sentence, times it by 2, and that gives you the compound sentence. It's 2 independent clauses. So just a little review there. As always, we mentioned it before, use it or lose it. Okay, so the information, not just in English and not just in language acquisition, so acquisition to acquire, to get, but in all types of learning. Once you know, okay, you understand what you've learned, you have to continue to practice it. You have to continue, especially with languages, you have to continue to use it and practice it. Use it or lose it. All right? Okay, wonderful. So 4 types of sentences. Thus far, we've gone over simple, one independent clause, which must have a subject and a verb, and then compound sentences, which has 2 independent clauses. Okay, so going into articles. Now, last week we finished up looking at George and Tigger. All right, so take 1 second, look at this cute picture. So I actually adopted, remember adopted is one of our vocabulary words. I adopted a big dog from an animal shelter. What's an animal shelter? That's going to be another one of our vocabulary words, so stay tuned. I adopted a big dog from the animal shelter. And I have a cat. I have another small dog and I have a cat. So at first, I was kind of worried that my new dog and the cat wanted to make sure that they were friends. Looks like here George and Tigger are good friends. But when I adopted my dog, I wanted to make sure that him and the cat got along well. Okay, we're friends. Now, as it happened, my dog, and again, he's a very big, strong, muscular dog, he was absolutely terrified. So terrified is afraid, but very, very afraid. This big, strong dog was absolutely terrified of my cat, to the point where for 2 weeks, he wouldn't even walk past the cat. Okay, this cat, maybe 1/10 the size of the dog. And my dog was absolutely terrified. So that if the cat was sitting in one room, the dog would not go into that room. Now, it's been 2 years since I adopted him. So again, remembering our vocabulary words, adopted, so to bring into your family, to bring into your home. It's been 2 years now since I adopted him. And when I left my house this morning, all 3 of my animals, so my 2 dogs and my cat, were all laying and still asleep because they're lazy. Mom has to go to work, I have to go to work, and they just lay around the house and sleep. So when I left them this morning, 1, 2, 3, they were all sound asleep because now they are the best of friends, just as we see in this picture of George and Tigger. So, okay, looking at the comments, wonderful. Okay, so articles. This is George and Tigger. George is the dog, and Tigger is the cat. Do you like dogs? I love dogs. What about cats? I love cats. I love really any and all animals. I love dogs, but I don't like cats. Someone else's reply in our example. I want a dog, but I don't want a cat, or I don't want a cat, right? So these are our articles. Let's continue down and get a few more examples. So an indefinite article, and this should be a little bit of review, is a or a. You can pronounce it either way, an. When we say that, we need to make sure that we get that n sound, so an, and some are all called indefinite articles. So quick review, or a, and an can be used with singular countable nouns. And an mean one. I would like a dog, so just one. I have a cat. I only have one cat. I have two dogs, but I only have a cat, so singular. And an mean one, and you use before consonants. And we'll review in a second what consonants are. In a different way, an is used before vowels. So maybe the easiest way to review this between our consonants and our vowels, we know that our vowels are A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. Sometimes Y can be used as a vowel, but most of the time and largely we accept Y as a consonant. So a word has to include at least one vowel in order to be a word. Okay, so even a short word like ran, R-A-N, has to have a vowel. Of course, with ran, A is our vowel. So consonants are all of the other letters that are not vowels. So B, C, D, E, continuing on. If you know that the vowels are A, E, I, O, U, then just know the rest of the alphabet are all consonants. With the exception of Y, because English has to be crazy sometimes. Y is usually almost always used as a consonant, but if you ever run across an example in writing or in speech where Y is used as a vowel, don't think back to this video and think, Abby lied to me. She lied. She said that Y was a consonant. It usually is. It usually is. But every now and then it can be used as a vowel. But we'll take a look at that and come up with some more examples as we continue on. One moment, of course, I want to check. Right. So the French Leo. Abby, if I say I want some milk, is this sentence considered an indefinite article? Let's continue on because I think I'm going to answer your question. If I don't, Leo, then please repost it. But we're going to talk about some in just a minute as we go through. And again, I think it'll answer your question. But of course, if you're still unclear, let me know again. Let's continue on. And once more, I think your question will be answered because it's a very good question. All right. So again, we use a or a before our consonants. So a bear, a table, a phone, a song, a man, a woman, etc. Now, in a different way, once more, when we have our vowels, A, E, I, O, U, we use an. So A-N, an. So an umbrella, an English teacher, an apple, Washington apple, an egg, an inch. Those are all preceded. So before those words, we have an. Okay? But here's an example of how, what I always tell my students, sometimes English has to be a little bit crazy. Here's a good example of it. So we would use an before our. And if you say, Miss Abby, you're insane. You're saying and telling us conflicting things, two different things. You just said to use a before a consonant. I know H is a consonant, but here's why we use an. Because even though the word our is spelled with an H, with a consonant, the H is not pronounced. We don't say hower, we say our. So that really you can take the H off and you would pronounce it the exact same way. Our. But of course, in your sentence, someone would know which you were talking about. I'll see you in an hour. So again, here's a good example where sometimes English is a little crazy, is a little tricky. So with that, just know, and this is a matter of listening and practicing and going over all the rules and examples and cases like this where those rules are not always applicable, not always applied. So we would once more use an in front of our because the H is not pronounced, or we would say the H is silent, so that our sounds like it is spelled O-U-R, as in our. All right, now continuing down to our next example, another crazy English. Use a or a before university because it is pronounced like yoon. It sounds, if you were writing it out the way it sounds, even though it starts with a U, it's not university, it's university. So that sounds like Y-U-N, university, okay? Which then changes the beginning sound to a Y, which is a consonant most of the time, right? So again, quick review, use an before our because our, the H is silent. So it sounds like we're saying a word that starts with a vowel. Sounds like it starts with an O. In the same way, use a before university because it's pronounced like university, not university, right? Give me one moment. I'm going to check over in the comments because now you're probably like, crazy teacher, this doesn't make sense. It's a matter of practice and review, and then it'll come to you naturally if you continue to practice and you continue to review. But let me see what your comments include. Yeah, Leo says the hardest thing is to know when the H is pronounced or not. So think about honor, okay? Honor. You could say it is an honor. And truly, for me, it is an honor to be here every Tuesday morning with you guys. And I know some of you are staying up late, or even some of you have to wake up really early to join class. So it is an honor for me to teach and be here with you. So exactly with that, Leo, with that observation, yeah. Honor or honest. So both of those words, even though they start with the consonant H, that H is silent. Honor and honor, because it sounds like on, O-N. Honest, an honest person, an honest friend is nice to have in the same way as you said an H, depending on the word, there will be times, especially with H, where you would use an because that H is silent. All right, I'm gonna check over. Great, looks like everyone's doing well. Okay, oh, Luana, hello from Brazil. We actually have 2 Brazilian students here at SCEL right now, and I'm sad because they've been here, I think, 6 months, and they're leaving in 2 months and going home, and they're just such fantastic students. So we actually have some friends from your homeland of Brazil. Wonderful. All right. Perfect. So continuing on. So once more, an is used before vowels unless we're using a word that starts with a consonant, but that consonant is either silent or it gives us a different sound, as in the word sounds like it starts with a vowel. In the same way, is used in front of consonants unless it's a word like university that you don't say university, even though the UN we pronounce un in most cases. But in this word, university sounds like it starts with a Y, which in almost all cases, not all, English is tricky, but we generally largely accept Y as a consonant. All right, so our example, there's a university in this city. See you in an hour. It is an honor to be here with you all. There's a university in this city. Okay? All right, here's the question, I believe from Leo, asked before, some. What about some? Here we go. Some can be used with plural countable nouns and uncountable nouns. So, our examples, some people, some money, some rice, some cows, some grass, some food, some grapes, right? Or some can be used with plural countable nouns and uncountable nouns. Now, what about words that have no article? How or why would words not have an article? Well, you do not use a, an, or some if you are describing a general idea, okay? A general idea means you're talking about all kinds of things. You're talking about, and it doesn't matter which, doesn't matter what kind of things. A general idea, so general, so kind of overall idea. A general idea means you are talking about any or all kinds of something. Well, what that something is, our first example, I love pizza. So, okay, it's general, and if this gentleman says, I love pizza, as the picture very well illustrates, he's saying that he loves all kinds, okay, in general. Our next picture, little girl that looks very happy with her bananas. This gentleman loves pizza. Looks like this little gal loves her bananas, and she says so. Bananas are my favorite fruit. So again, she's talking about in general, bananas, right? So she's talking about all kinds of bananas, not just a singular, plural, all. Third example, yeah, gold is expensive. Okay, once more, it's a general idea, and we're talking about any or all kinds of something. So all gold is expensive. There's not a kind of gold that is inexpensive. Okay, we're talking about any or all gold. And then our fourth example, Susan always reads books. It's general, it's overall, okay? So with those, you do not use an article. if you're talking about general. Now, if you're talking about something specific, I love the pizza, then you're talking about a specific pizza. In a different way, and with our example, if you're making a general statement that you like any and all kinds of pizza, you would just say, without the article, I love pizza, which I do. And in my time traveling in Italy, I found out that, of course, true Italian pizza is very, very different than the pizza that we have over here in America. I much prefer the true pizza in Italy to the kind that we have in America, and I love pizza. So maybe I think that's a good reason for me to go back. So if we have any Italian students joining us, maybe I need to come visit again because I love pizza. But in particular, I really enjoy traditional, true Italian pizza, right? And then if I was in Italy and I was eating some of this delicious pizza, then I could add the article and say, I love the pizza, if I'm talking about something specific, or if I'm just talking in general, I love pizza, right? So I hope that makes sense. Hope that's helpful. When we have no articles, it's because we're not talking about something specific. We're talking about general or overall. Okay? Scrolling down, but I also want to check in. All right. Great. Hi, Nora. Don't worry about being late. You can come, anyone could come join class whenever works for you. So Miss Nora, you're just fine being late. I'm just happy that you're here. So welcome to today's lesson. And you can, if you want to listen to the first part of the lesson, of course, this is posted on YouTube. While you are there, I really enjoy reading any comments that you guys have, and I will try my best to reply to them. And as always, if you want to make me happy, give our Smrt videos a thumbs up, okay? Rosa, if you're coming, let me know, Abby. I will. I definitely will. Okay. Continuing on. So when you are describing things in general with no article, use plural, countable nouns, or uncountable nouns. Let's look at our examples. He always puts ketchup on hot dogs. And so I know not all countries have ketchup. There were some places that I visited in Europe, and if I asked for ketchup, they looked at me like I was kind of crazy. Ketchup, what's ketchup? But ketchup is a very popular condiment. So condiment, it's a noun. It's just something like mayonnaise or mustard or salsa that you add to your food to give it extra taste or extra flavor. So ketchup, not popular all over the world, very popular in America. So there's ketchup. It's red. It's what is being put on that hot dog. And he always puts ketchup on hot dogs, right? So ketchup is uncountable. It's uncountable. We're not counting how much ketchup there is. It's just general, okay? But hot dogs, that's a plural countable, right? So there can certainly be more than one, make it plural, and we can count how many hot dogs. But ketchup, we wouldn't, and there's really no way to count ketchup, okay? Let's look at our second example. It's not quite clear. Maybe our second and third example might help. So cows eat grass. I eat pizza. Cows eat grass. So cows, that's plural. There's more than one. Otherwise, it would just be cow. But cows, it's plural, more than one. And of course, we can count them. Looks like there's maybe 7 or 8 cows in this picture. And what do they eat? Well, cows eat grass. But of course, grass is uncountable. There's no way that you could count grass. It's just general. Cows eat grass. Our third example, paper comes from wood. This is true. And that's why it's so important, or I think it's so important, to recycle. Okay? We don't need to keep cutting down trees for our environment. Recycling, and paper comes from wood, but if you recycle your paper, they can turn old paper into new paper and recycle it and not have to make it out of wood again. And that way they don't have to cut down any more trees. So I am a big proponent, which means I really feel strongly that recycling is a great way to protect our environment and our world. And with that, it's going to continue on in our vocabulary where we're talking about animals in the natural world. So jungle. Okay? Jungle was one of our vocabulary words from last week. So it's very sad to see pictures of jungles that had big, beautiful, a lot of times very, very old, if not ancient trees, and they get cut down for paper. But if we recycle, then we don't have to cut down any more trees. We can just reuse that paper. But yes, paper comes from wood. So paper is our uncountable, so it's just general, paper in general. And wood is uncountable as well. It's just general wood, okay? So with that, ketchup, hot dogs, ketchup is the uncountable, hot dogs, plural, countable. Cows and grass, cows are the plural countable, and grass is uncountable. And our last, both of these, both paper and wood, uncountable, right? I'm gonna scroll down and give me a moment to look over in our live feed. So Leo asks, can I say I put ketchup on the hot dogs? You wouldn't need the article the. I put ketchup on hot dogs, okay? Because again, as we're looking up, ketchup is uncountable, hot dogs is plural countable. So you do not need the article the, okay? These, popping back up, when you're describing things in general, so those would be general, you don't use an article. You use plural countable nouns or uncountable nouns. So once more, for your question, you wouldn't say I put ketchup on the hot dogs. You would just say I put ketchup on hot dogs. I absolutely see what you mean. And certainly, Leo, like if you said that, anyone would understand what you mean, but the correct way, the smart way to say it, you don't need the article for that. Does that help, my friend? Let me know if you want me to explain it a different way. And great question, as always. Okay? All right. Wonderful. Okay. So do not use singular nouns with no article. Let's look at our examples. We would not say apple is delicious. We would say apples are delicious, right? So once more, do not use singular nouns with no article. It's not apple is delicious. If you were talking about one specific apple, the apple that you are eating, and it's very clear that this is the apple you are talking about, then you could say this apple is delicious, but you're talking in general. So apples are delicious. Washington apples are delicious, and there are many, many different kinds of apples that come from Washington. All right, going on to our second example, we would not say student always makes mistake about articles. And that even sounds wrong. It doesn't flow smoothly and hold a thought and continue on with the thought. It even sounds a little choppy. Student always makes mistake about articles. No, what we would say is students always make mistakes about articles or even with articles. Okay, so students, plural, we're not talking about one particular student. Students in general, plural. Students always make mistakes. Okay, mistakes, plural. Not everyone makes the same mistake. Different people might have different mistakes, so it's plural. All right, students, plural, always make mistakes about articles. We could say with articles. And that's true. And that's nothing that you should feel bad about because, again, make sure no one hears me. English is crazy. English can definitely be crazy to learn, so that there are a lot of things that you need to memorize. But as I always say, and I always encourage you, keep practicing, keep reviewing, use it or lose it, and in time, all of this will become second nature. Second nature just means you know it so well that you don't even have to think about it, right? So this statement is true. Students always make mistakes about articles, but that's absolutely common and that's absolutely understandable. And the best way to correct that is, again, just continued review and continued practice, right? Wonderful, great. Oh, hello, Randy. Yes, excellent. Okay. Definite article. All right, the is called the definite article. Use the with nouns when it is clear, when it's obvious. Okay, use the with nouns when it is clear which thing or which person you mean or are talking about. All right, our first example, is there anything interesting in the newspaper today? So we know it's today's newspaper, not yesterday's, not the newspaper from last week. It's very clear what we're talking about. We're talking about today's newspaper. Is there anything interesting in the newspaper today? Okay, our second example, in the same way, someone is at the door. Okay, obviously your house has one main, or we would say front door, where if someone was delivering the mail or was delivering a package, so a package is what this gentleman is holding, they would come to your front door. Well, you only have one front door. You might have other doors in your house to go outside, but you have one main front door, and of course that is where your mail or packages are usually delivered. And what's more is if you hear someone knocking, of course you know which door is being knocked on. So you would say someone is at the door because you're talking about a specific. It's very clear which door you are talking about. Someone is at the door. Okay? And then our third example, we took the stairs because the elevator is broken. It's very clear. It's obvious which stairs are being taken, and it's obvious which elevator is broken. Okay? So with that, once more, we use the. So the is called a definite article, and we use the with nouns when it is clear which thing or person you mean or you're talking about. Right? Looking over. Great. So sometimes it is clear which thing or person we mean because there's only one. So because there's only one person or thing that we even possibly could be talking about, it's clear. Okay, whoever we're talking to or writing to, it's very clear. There's only one thing or one person that it could possibly mean. With our examples, it's so cloudy today, we cannot see the sun. There's only one sun. There's only one sun. And that's something to me that's always kind of cool when I travel, is I can be in a totally different place on the other side of the world and I still see the same sun. Okay, so all of you, all my wonderful friends and students from all over the world, when we all go outside, as long as it's a sunny day, when we all go outside, we're seeing the exact same sun. We're seeing the exact same moon. We see the exact same stars. We might see them at different parts of the night, so maybe one constellation of stars, and a constellation's just a fancy word of saying a group of stars, okay? And Spokane's night sky, we might see one star constellation around 10 p.m. at night. When someplace else in the world, they might be seeing that constellation at 2 in the morning. But it's always the same stars. It's always the same sun. It's always the same moon. So that's one thing that's always interesting and fascinating. So very interesting to me is traveling and seeing which stars come out first in each part of the world. So with this, it's so cloudy today. We cannot see the sun. Okay? It's very clear. There's only one. So I don't have to qualify which sun I'm talking about. I can just use the sun. There's only one. It's clear which sun I'm talking about. The only sun that our Earth has. Okay? Our second example, what did the teacher say? It's very obvious. Clearly, these three students are in a classroom taught by a teacher. Okay, there's only one. There's only one teacher for this class. What did the teacher say? They don't need to explain which teacher or who they're talking about. It's the teacher. All right? They have one. So over in our live comments, if someone said, what did the teacher say? I missed it. I didn't understand or I didn't hear. It's obvious that you're talking about me, okay? Because there's only one. There's only one teacher right now, Miss Abby, that's working with you this morning in our Smrt English. So you could say, what did the teacher say? All right? It's clear. It's clear who you are talking about, who they are talking about or asking about. In the same way, for our last example, could you please close the door? Now, this one would be even easier to understand because it's clear which door they want closed, because it would be the door that's open. The door that is open is the door that I would like closed. There's one, okay? Please close the door, right? It's specific, it's obvious, it's clear which thing we're talking about, right? Scrolling down. In the same way, sometimes it is clear which person or thing we mean because we've already mentioned it. We've already talked about it, right? Examples with this, I had steak and salad for dinner. The steak was really good. It's clear. It's obvious which steak I'm talking about. I'm talking about the steak that I had for dinner. Okay? That's obvious. You know which steak I'm talking about because I already mentioned it. I already talked about it. Said I had a steak and salad for dinner. The steak was really good. Okay? So it's clear which steak I'm talking about because I already mentioned it. Okay, as our second example, these two young ladies going shopping. I bought a shirt and some shoes. Where did you get the shirt? It's clear what shirt her friend is asking her about. The shirt that she just bought, because she already mentioned it. She already talked about the shirt she just bought. So in that way, her friend can say, where did you get the shirt? And not have to explain which shirt she's talking about because her friend mentioned it, the one she just bought. Okay, and looking at our last example, and then I'll check over in the comments or questions if you have any. Could Could I have a small coffee and a bottle of water, please? Answer, would you like milk or sugar in the coffee? Okay, it's clear, it's obvious which coffee she's talking about or he's talking about. Which coffee? The coffee that just got ordered, the coffee that he just mentioned, okay? It's very clear which person or which thing we're talking about so that we don't need to say it again, right? Once more, we already know because we already mentioned it. Right, let me check over in the comments. Oh, thank you, Nora, for your kind compliment today. The teacher who is teaching us today is so beautiful. Thank you. And I'm glad that it's not showing. I could not sleep last night, and maybe it's because I really truly get excited to come teach class, and I couldn't sleep last night. So I'm glad that it doesn't show, because today I've got both my tea and my coffee. So thank you so much for your kind compliment, Nora. Okay. Okay, Natish asks, musical instruments take no article? Well, it would depend. If you said, I just got a new tuba, or I just got a new violin, could say, oh, where did you get the violin? Okay? And I would use the because you know that I'm talking exactly about the violin that you just got. Okay? And the same way you would use the article, I just got a, or I just got a new violin. So I hope they answered your question, Natish. Let me know. Oh, Nora, great. Yes, so Nora commented, yeah, there is no need to say I play a piano or I play the piano. Okay, you can just say I play piano. I can play the piano. So general. I could play your piano if you have one. I have a piano. I can play mine. I could play my friends. I can play the piano. So it's a general, okay? It's a general statement, not just a specific one. If you can play the piano, then really you can play any piano, not just your own, okay? So it's not just a singular piano. We're talking general. So I can play the piano. Great. And Nora, thank you so much for that great observation and answering. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay, so let's see. We have about 7 more minutes, which is great because we can jump back and finish our vocabulary. At this level, probably noticed we have a lot of vocabulary, and that's because all of you have a really good base understanding of English. Okay, when you first learn a language, you learn a little bit of vocabulary, enough that you can start speaking in full sentences and getting your ideas across, and then working with grammar to make sure that those sentences make sense. And then once you have that nice base, then you can start adding words to it. And that's why at this level we have a lot of vocabulary, because you have the base understanding of simple sentence structure, compound sentence structure, and so we can start adding more words to your vocabulary list at large. So as you probably noticed, a lot of these units have a lot of vocabulary, but again, I think it's so important, and it actually is my favorite part of teaching is the vocabulary. So with that, we will continue on just for the last little bit of class with some vocabulary. So the last word that we left on last week is leather. Okay? So leather is made from cows. Leather's not only made from cows, it can be made alligator or crocodile skin is another popular leather, But what leather in general basically is the skin from an animal. So they skin the animal, they take its skin off, and then they put it through a process where it's dried, molded, styled, and then you get leather. So the woman is wearing a leather jacket. Okay? So leather could be both an adjective, what kind of jacket? A leather jacket. Leather can also be a noun. Okay, I bought some leather, right? So we ended last week with that word. Continuing on to our new words. Male. Now, if you remember previously, we had female. So male and female. So, of course, we know that the world genders divided into sex, or the sexes, male and female. So female are women, girls, and although we wouldn't say a woman lion or a girl lion, okay, a lioness, okay, or a lion cub, lioness is lioness is the feminine word to describe a lion, lioness. Okay, just like waitress is the feminine, waiter is the masculine or male. So that feminine, the base word of that is female. So a woman or a girl. And that also would include the gender or the sex of an animal. So with this picture, we see male. Okay, so the masculine. Male lions have long hair. All right, so even if you've never seen one in real life, which I have not seen a lion in true life, okay, pretty much everyone knows that only male lions have the long hair. All right, you see a picture of a lion that look like these two guys, you know that they're male lions, right? So male and female. Male, boys, men, female, girls, women, and we call that the sexes, okay, male or female. And so with that, of course, obviously, we're not just talking about humans, we're talking about animals in the natural world as well. Give me 1 second, I'm gonna check over in our comments. All right. Great. Abir just, Abby, could you explain to me how I can use such a before a vowel sound? Abir, if you joined us a little bit late, go ahead and watch the beginning of this video once it's posted, because I briefly went over articles and an and how to use them. So I encourage you to just watch the beginning of the video. If that still doesn't answer your question, come to class next week and make sure you post that question as one of the first ones, even before class gets started, so I have time to answer. Or as always, if you guys are interested in becoming a premium subscriber, then you have direct access to me where you and I can email. Sadly, I can't email students unless you're part of the Smrt. If you've joined and are a premium subscriber, then once more, that gives you access to the class notes, quizzes or tests if you would like to take them, as well as direct access to me so that you and I can have back and forth discussions and dialogues. So with that, my friend Abir, watch this video once it's posted from the beginning, and it should answer that question. But if it doesn't, please just come to class a little bit earlier next week, type in your question, and I will answer it for you, my friend. All right, we got time for one more word. Meat. Steak. Steak is a great example of meat because steak is meat from a cow. All right. As I've said before, I think sometimes the best way to describe or to understand a word is truly through pictures. And so looking at this picture, this is obviously a picture of meat. So meat is just what parts of animals we eat. So chicken is called the white meat, or chicken is called white meat, because chicken meat, when you eat a chicken, its meat is a white color, right? When you eat a cow or a pig, the meat has that darker kind of rosy red color to it. So meat, and please note that this is meat, M-E-A-T, okay? Like the meat that you eat from animals, and a lot of animals eat meat. Some animals, like horses or cows, do not. Don't confuse it with meat, M-E-E-T, like it's nice to meet you, all right? Different spellings, but sound the same, but they mean two totally different things. So finishing up with our last vocabulary word of today is meat. And this is M-E-A-T, and it's talking about the meat from animals, so the meat that we eat. Meat that we eat. I'm rhyming today. Right. That coffee and tea is helping me out. So don't confuse it with meat as in nice to meet you. And with that, I will say farewell. Thanks so much for joining me for class. For those of you that are new, it was very nice to meet you, and I hope you will be able to join us next week. I'm just scanning over any of the comments. Again, my apologies that I'm not always able to get to all the questions or the comments, but I certainly try. Great, guys. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Miss Abby, and Smrt Curriculum, coming to you live, as always, from SCEL, Spokane College of English Language. I bid you a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Wherever you are, I hope you are doing well and that you will be able to see class and attend class right here next week at the same time. Thanks so much, guys. You are absolutely a joy to have. And again, I almost sometimes have a hard time sleeping on Monday night because I'm so excited to come here and see all my friends from all around the world. So truly, you make me happy. We would say you make my heart happy. With that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday or going into Wednesday. Thanks so much, guys. Stay tuned.
If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to our channel. Also, if you want the full experience of being a student in a Smrt Live class with things like homework and teacher feedback, follow the link and become a premium subscriber. Also, if you want to see more videos from this class, check out our playlist.